This summer, I had the opportunity to visit Nickelodeon Universe in Mall of America in Bloomington, Minnesota. Let me just start by saying, this park is unlike any other I've ever been to. This is such a unique amusement park, and I can't wait to share my thoughts on it. I visited the park a couple months ago in June of 2023, but this is such a memorable park that my memories are still as clear as day. This park is home to 5 roller coasters, a bunch of thrill rides, and its very own indoor log flume. Now, let's get into my thoughts about the park. Firstly, let's start with what I liked about the park. First of all, this amusement park is entirely indoors. Nickelodeon Universe is located in the center of Mall of America, so that means you have to walk through the mall to get to it, and all the amusement rides are completely indoors. Personally, I love the indoor aspect of this park. On the day I went to Mall of America, it was a hot 90-degree day outside, but inside the park, it always felt comfortable. And of course, no sunburns indoors. My favorite part. Now, I don't think this makes the park objectively better, as I'm sure some people love getting some fresh air, but me personally, I loved it. Now, even though Nickelodeon Universe is all indoors, the park never felt like it was just a park in a box. Parts of the ceiling were made of glass, so most areas of the park have natural sunlight, but it isn't too harsh. Not to mention, this park has an amazing atmosphere. Even though this park is all indoors, there's trees and plants everywhere throughout the park. I'm pretty certain that these are real trees too. They're basically just trees in a greenhouse. There's also a lot of nice bright colors throughout the park. The natural sunlight but controlled temperatures, the real trees and plants, and the beautiful colors contribute to this park having one of the best atmospheres I've ever seen in an amusement park. And one of the most incredibly comfortable settings. All year round, this park is going to be comfortable and beautiful. Now when it comes to ride selection, this park has a pretty good lineup in terms of both roller coasters and flat rides. This park is home to Avatar Airbender, the Intamin Surf Rider, Back at the Barnyard Hayride, their Kiddie Coaster, Fairly Odd Coaster, their Gerstlauer Spinning Family Coaster, Pepsi Orange Streak, another family coaster, and SpongeBob SquarePants Rock Bottom Plunge, their Gerstlauer Eurofighter. Now these are 2 solid thrill coasters, 2 solid family coasters, and a nice little kiddie coaster, but that's not all. Nickelodeon Universe also has some really thrilling flat rides, and even a log flume. I rode all of these attractions except the kiddie coaster, and I really enjoyed all of them. This park doesn't have a single bad ride, and most of these rides are very re-rideable. The log flume in particular is the best themed log flume I've ever experienced, and it's personally my favorite log flume. It has 2 drops, it's a really long ride, and it's so much fun. It's all indoors, so I assume they had limited space to work with, but there's still tons of theming, it's a really long ride, and you get soaked. It's great. I would also like to add that although this park has a very solid ride lineup, with some great rides and coasters, the location of the park, being inside a mall, does come at a disadvantage. This park doesn't have too many rides, only 5 roller coasters and a couple flat rides, and it's going to be very difficult for them to add more. They're landlocked, or more accurately, mall-locked, because Nickelodeon Universe has essentially used all the land available to them inside the mall. The rest of the land around Nickelodeon Universe is dedicated to the mall's food court, as well as other stores. Even if they wanted to, I don't think Nickelodeon Universe can expand without removing rides. I think the park's location within the mall comes with a lot of advantages, like atmosphere, comfort, and year-round operations, but as you can see, it comes with disadvantages too. Now unfortunately, that's just about all the good things I had to say about Nickelodeon Universe at Mall of America. All of the other aspects of my visit, although not horrible, weren't the best. Now, let's talk about the bad. First of all, you won't be spending much time here. On a normal operating day, you can easily ride everything in 2 hours. I believe I spent about 3 hours here, but that was just because one of the rides broke down while I was in line. If you're just looking to ride the roller coasters and nothing else, you'll probably spend about an hour here, or less. Now that isn't inherently a bad thing until we get to the next category, pricing. Nickelodeon Universe has a ticket system, or as they call it, a point system, where you can pay for points to use on rides, or you can buy an all-day wristband. All of the roller coasters, thrill rides, and the log flume cost 6 points each, which equates to about $8. The all-day wristband, on the other hand, costs $50. If you're looking to do more than 5 rides, I highly recommend doing the wristband. You can get all the re-rides you want with the wristband, and it's a lot cheaper than paying $8 per ride for 10 rides. Now these prices don't sound too bad until you realize the average person is probably going to spend about an hour or 2 here. I'm not sure if $50 is a great price for 2 hours of fun, and this park isn't exactly overflowing with rides. Compare the amount of roller coasters with most other amusement parks, and Nickelodeon Universe has a lot less than average. Not to mention, the season passes are also quite pricey, and I can't imagine locals spending a lot of time here either. Next, let's talk about the ride operations. I went on a pretty average day, there weren't too many crowds, and most of the rides were just walk-ons. However, the rides with lower capacity, and the fan favorite rides, like SpongeBob SquarePants, Rock Bottom Plunge, and the Log Flume, had almost 45-minute waits. The reason for this was Rock Bottom Plunge took about 5 minutes per dispatch, and the Log Flume took about a minute or two per dispatch. Now trust me, I've seen a lot worse, and this is not the worst. But when the attraction is as low capacity as these are, every minute counts. If the dispatches for this ride were under a minute instead of over 5 minutes, the line would be under 5 minutes long. I know not everyone looks at this when visiting a park, but things like ride operations really impact the guest experience. If I'm only there for 3 hours and I spend 1 hour in line, that really defines part of my experience at the park. While we're on the subject of ride operations, let's talk about the staff. I had a couple encounters with some really friendly and happy staff throughout the park. The ride operator at Avatar Airbender was absolutely amazing. He did a great job of hyping up the guests before they got on the ride, getting them excited. Unfortunately, I can't remember his name, but he did a great job. Unfortunately, the same can't be said about most other ride operators at this park. When I was there, the ride operator at Rock Bottom Plunged seemed visibly unhappy the whole time, not to mention he showed no initiative to keep the line moving. Through the way he acted, he seemed like he hated his job, and that's not a pleasant thing to witness as a guest. I kind of felt bad for the guy. I've worked as a ride operator before, so I know the long hours can be really tough at times, and this obviously isn't the case for all ride operators there, but it seemed like the majority were pretty unhappy, and seemed like they didn't want to be there. They kind of shambled around, and when you approached them, they would just mumble something like, "Alright, you go there, you go there." They kind of seemed like zombies. That's why I was so pleasantly surprised by the ride operator at Avatar Airbender. He was energetic, he seemed happy, and it really improved the experience. Next, let's talk about theming. This park is home to some fantastic intellectual properties. This park has properties like SpongeBob, Fairly OddParents, Avatar, and a lot more. There's so much theming potential for these rides, but unfortunately it isn't being utilized. Of course, these rides have their names attached to intellectual properties owned by Nickelodeon, and they have really nice ride entrances, but beyond that, there isn't much. There is so much you could do with a SpongeBob ride, and I was kind of shocked that all they did was add a large SpongeBob sign and put some SpongeBob wallpaper behind the ride, and that was about it. In terms of theming, this park unfortunately doesn't have much to offer. All of the rides have really nice entrances and signs, but beyond that, there isn't much. I think that's really a shame, because these properties have so much potential, as does this park. Overall, Nickelodeon Universe and Mall of America is a really good park, but should it be at the top of your bucket list? Probably not. Although I dislike some things about this park, there's still a lot that I absolutely love. I definitely recommend a visit to this park, just because it's so unique. It has a great atmosphere, and these are great rides as well. If you've been to Nickelodeon Universe before, let me know what you think about it down in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Like always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.